All right, jumping into one of our projects today, we are making something that resembles this blanket. This comes from Annie's, and they offer a monthly pattern. I don't know if it's a crochet along or a tutorial, but you know, it was only 1 square a month, and this is a custom order, contract order. So I looked up a pattern that was similar where I could just choose which squares I wanted and just kind of wing it. The pattern, I did purchase this pattern from Mary Maxim, and you know, it's just another version of a sampler square afghan. I didn't use every square that they suggest because there are more on this one than on that one. And I used what resembled best colors on this one, you know, that I ordered from Ice Yarns, you know, wendysway.yarnshopping.com. And I laid out my colors on a graph sheet, white, charcoal, medium gray, light gray. Laid them out the way I thought they looked best and would most closely resemble the photograph that I am emulating. I'll have a picture, you know, of them all laid out on the table. And then I kind of rearrange them. And as you can see, they're all, you know, they're not perfectly square. They don't have sharp corners, you know, it's crochet. Every stitch pattern is different. They're all going to look different. And, you know, because you're not repetitively doing the same thing over and over and over again when you're doing crochet of a bunch of different squares. So this is one of today's project, and it's something I'm doing for the first time. So I'm going to take you along with me. It's called steam blocking, and it's especially good for acrylic yarn. As you can see, I have a pad with a measured grid on top of it. And these 4 squares that I took from here, I took the biggest one, you know, the one that was quite a bit bigger than the rest. It's the one in that corner there. And I laid it out and almost smooshed it to make it as small as it would lay flat and perfectly square. And then I pinned it down. And these squares now for this blanket are going to be 8 inches by 8 inches. Now the rest of these squares, as you can see, I had to put a lot of pins in them. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can. Can you see the T-pins I put in? Technically I had to stretch them. And, you know, it's acrylic yarn. It's very stretchy. To make it 8 inches by 8 inches, make the sides pretty much straight. And the corners, you know, these 2 corners I may pull in a little bit yet and repin because they are bowed out just a smidge. But then, when I use this steamer, and I will steam these 4 squares and let them dry, and they will hold this shape. And from what I've studied, they will hold this shape even after being laundered. So once I get them steamed and they're all the same size and shape, then I will stitch the blanket together. But this is a process, and I'm taking you along for the ride because I like to learn new things, and I think maybe you do too. So today's education is on steam blocking. We're going to make all these blocks the same size and shape. And they're going to be 8 by 8. And then there will be some stitching in between. I have not exactly chosen my sewing method. On this picture, you can tell that they laid them face to face and they sewed them together on the back. And that just kind of makes it pillow out at each intersection. I don't like that look. I don't think it's as perfect as I would like it to look. So I'm going to try something more like this. On the Mary Maxim pattern, rather than the Annie's, they joined it, you know, with added crochet rather than just stitching them together on the back. It lays flat. So I'm going to figure out how they did that, or I'll choose another method that I've seen to stitch them together. So there will likely be colored lines in between the blocks, like as are here, but are not here. And I haven't decided what color it'll be yet, but we're also going with the edging from this one. And I don't think I need a pattern to do that. It's pretty straightforward. You start with the light or medium gray, and then you do the white, and then primarily the charcoal, and it's, you know, either a single or half double crochet all the way around the outside. If need be, we can block it again after it's sewn together to make it all lie perfectly flat and look like one big piece of fabric, which is what a sampler is supposed to look like. Okay, let's do this thing. Okay, we're going to give this new camera angle a try. I'm looking at my supplies for steam blocking. I bought this handheld fabric steamer. The box is right there, obviously. I ordered it off Amazon.com. It's a pretty basic machine. I've used it once now. I like it very much. It took a little patience to figure out that the noise it was making when I first turned it on was the pump pushing the water through the steamer to get to the heating element and produce steam. But as you can see, I started with blocks that look like that. I think I have put pictures out there of what they look like on my blocking grid with those T-pins, and now they look like that. Okay, I'm going to find out if this camera angle works, and then we'll start again and we'll record some more. All right, I recorded over 11 minutes of video showing myself pinning down these squares, what size and shape they were before I pinned them down, the entire process of steaming them, and then I watched the video and realized that my camera was not positioned well. So let's try this again, shall we? Okay, I have plugged in my steamer. This is a steamer that I ordered from Amazon.com. It's called Elefire. And if I remember correctly, it was under $35. And it works incredibly well. I'm pleased with it. I've used it for those squares. I'm going to use it for the rest. I just used it for the two in front of me. Hopefully in front of me. So now I'm going to pin down the next two squares. I also got the blocking grid from Amazon.com. And as you can see, you know, when you crochet something, the variety of stitches alone, you know, the different tension that you put to them, even though you're crocheting the same number of stitches, the style, the tension, everything is going to make them a little different size and a little different shape. So when you're making a sampler or any kind of end product when you crochet, that you're going to be stitching together pieces that are supposed to be the same size and shape, you will need to block them. Otherwise, it's really going to be uneven and twisted, and it's just not the kind of thing I'm looking for in something that I make. So you can see obviously that the 2 squares on the top are different sizes and shapes than the 2 squares on the bottom. This one, you won't know because I'm not going to release that section of video, was a great deal smaller than this one. It isn't now. After I tack down one of these to show you how easy it is, I will pull this one up and show you, because I think it's cool and dry enough now that it will stay and it'll hold its shape. You can see the green light on the steamer, so it is good to go. I have between minimum and maximum amount of water in it. Alright. Let's go over here. We did 2 to 10 on the bottom. We'll do 2 to 10 on the top, just to be consistent with an 8-inch square. I am pinning the 4 corners first to get my start. I am also placing the pins at an angle, tilting out, so that I can get the steamer as close to possible to the fabric without touching it with the steamer head, because the steamer head is metal. It gets very hot, and acrylic yarn is petroleum based. It is, amazingly enough, a lot like plastic, and it won't necessarily burn right off the bat. The first thing it'll do is melt, and that just makes it nasty. So I'm going around the edge. As you can see, I've had to stretch it to to get it to the lines to make it 8 inches by 8 inches. And I'll just keep going, you know, dividing each side in half and half and half, so that I'm not, just to try and keep it as even as possible. You know, if I did all of one side and then all of another side, maybe it's just that I'm OCD. It may not make any difference at all. But when one is OCD and they decide how they want to do something, that's what we do. Okay, yeah, I know I did this side. I didn't come down to the bottom yet, but it's all right. As you can see, I'm just to the point where the yarn is covering up the line. I just don't want to see the line. I don't want to go much over it, but I just don't want to see the line. The 8-inch line. So instead of grabbing it here and pulling, I'm trying to start behind it and push. That way we're not, you know, stretching one little spot or in the middle of one stitch. We're trying to get more of it. You know. I'm going to put quite a few in this one to make the sides straight instead of loopy. As you can see, the lines are showing. Get myself up here without pushing the board. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing. This is my goal in wearing the camera, so my hands can do the work and you can see, so I don't have to hold a camera. I pray it works. I know the picture is not as clear and the audio is not as good because I'm using a cheap little GoPro wannabe, but you know, when you're just starting out on the YouTube thing, you don't have the money to invest in cameras and things like that. So we are almost ready to steam this square. And I'll only make you watch one. I'm not going to make you watch me pin down a second one. But as you can see, you know, it's going to be a time-consuming effort, but I think it'll be so worth it. In the end, it'll be so worth it. It's going to make it so much easier to sew together. And then, who knows, depending on how it turns out after it is sewn together, maybe we'll block it in sections after that. So it will truly look like one single project rather than 30 squares crocheted together. All right. I know the sheet is white, and so is the yarn on the square that I'm about to block, but I believe I have it straight enough. This steamer is an awesome little steamer, but I think it is meant to be used vertically. I think that's the way it works best. I tried tipping it over face down and leaving this on the table, and it just kind of gave an inconsistent steam and a gurgle. But, you know, these are pinned down tight enough that it doesn't matter. I can hold it vertical. See now? There we are. See? Take it clear up to the fabric. Try not to touch it. You know, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch away. And because I did have to stretch this one some, I'm going to go over it for a wee bit. You know, picking it up like this, I see a few or a couple of spots up here on the top line where I really couldn't see the line from this angle, but now I can from that angle. So I'm going to put a couple more pins in here just to bring this up a notch. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Now we've covered up that red line. So you can hear it. I'm going to need to put some more water in after this square, likely. And, you know, just going to go over it a few times. And I think you'll be amazed. I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing. I adjusted my camera angle. I know the audio's not great, but all right. Okay. Make sure to keep this, you know, away from kids and pets and anyone who may come in contact or get in the way if it gets dropped or the cord gets tripped on. All right, this square was smaller than the white one. I had to do some dramatic stretching on this square. Now I am going to pull the pins out and show you what steam blocking does. It just blows my mind. It really does. What a little bit of hot water, hot vaporized water can do to acrylic yarn. Because there is no way I could ever put together pieces of crocheted work into one piece and make it look nice, professional, even if I did not block it. Now, can you believe that? I had to stretch it. I did some serious stretching to get this block this size. And now, that's it. It stays, you know. Whoopsie. Oh, and then you put it over a pin here. I'm amazed. Yeah, it looks like I may have been a scab premature. Maybe it's just perspective. You know, it's not going to be 100%, 100%. It's yarn. But, you know, look at that. It's 8 inches by 8 inches. It's square. It's flat. It's flexible and soft. It's even. Wow. Steam blocking, baby. It's going to be a process to get 30 blocks done. And it is going to be so worth it. I am anxious to show you the next step after I get all of this blocking done, which is going to be stitching the blanket together. I thank you so much for joining me again today. And I'll pick it up here shortly.